Happy New Year, everybody! And by New Year, I mean about 20 days late into the year. I honestly don't really know how to introduce this video. I've tried a lot of introductions, and I think most of them have been borderline okay, sometimes just bad. So I'm just gonna flat out tell you, this is my favorite music from 2022. If you haven't listened to it, you should, and here's what I got. So to start off, I just wanna say that we got some really good rap projects this year. First and foremost, I want to talk about Griselda. If you don't know who Griselda is, it's a rap collective from Buffalo, New York, whose members are Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, and of course Westside Gunn, their kind of pseudo leader. All three of them dropped projects this year. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to listening to Benny's Tana Talk 4, which I heard was very good. But the other two, I listened to both of their projects, and they are both just absolutely fantastic. Westside Gunn dropped the 10th and final installment of his mixtape series, Hitler Wears Hermes, and what a farewell this is. This has to have some of my favorite performances This has to have some of my favorite performances from Gunn in the past few years. He's really just bringing his all on this entire album, and I feel like I can't talk about this album without talking about its features. One of my favorite tracks, Shootouts in Soho, has A$AP Rocky, which is just going to have your jaw on the ground, I promise you. We have DJ Drama on the album, hosting a couple of the songs, and of course, who could forget about Westside Gunn's daughter, Westside Pootie, who for me was one of the highlights of his album, Pray for Paris in 2020. Absolutely comes back full force on this one, and I love hearing everything that she has to say. By far though, my favorite Griselda project of the year came from Conway the Machine. God Don't Make Mistakes is probably just one of the best rap albums I've ever heard in my entire life. Conway is at his A game on this entire project. So a few standout tracks, Piano Love, absolutely fantastic. Wild Chapters, I thought was great, has a really fantastic feature. Speaking of features, Tear Gas featuring Rick Ross and Lil Wayne is awesome. You have to listen to that song. And I couldn't talk about this album without talking about Stressed, which has to be one of the most emotionally charged songs of last year. Conway the Machine just releases all of the emotions that he's been bottling up for God knows how long, probably his entire life. Every little bit of trauma that he's really experienced is so beautifully communicated on this song, and I can't recommend it enough. It is absolutely fantastic in every way. You need to listen to it. And of course, I can't talk about rap without talking about the return of Kendrick Lamar. I'm a longtime Kendrick Lamar fan, and seeing him return with Mr. Morale was probably one of the highlights of my year for music, and K-Dot delivers with this album completely. It's such an interesting shift from his last album, Damn, 5 years ago in 2017. And I think that is because Damn, in my opinion, is definitely his most commercial album. Not that it's not good or not as complex as all of his other ones. The songs on Damn definitely just have a bit more of a mass appeal. I mean, Loyalty with Rihanna comes to mind specifically, Love, Humble. While they're all very emotionally charged tracks, sonically they're also all very easy to digest. And I feel like with Mr. Morale, he's kind of taken a shift and he's kind of gotten to one of his most artistic projects since To Pimp a Butterfly. This album is loaded with some absolutely fantastic tracks, a lot of these being some of my favorites of the year. United in Grief, Anti-Diaries, Savior, We Cry Together, Father Time. You really cannot go wrong with this album. The amount of emotion that has been poured out into it is absolutely fantastic, and it is just another classic from Kendrick Lamar. 2022 also blessed us with some incredible pop music, and of course I can't talk about that without talking about Steve Lacy. Gemini Rights has to be one of, if not maybe just my favorite album of the entire year. Some of the catchiest songs of the entire year are on that album, by far. And of course I can't talk about the catchiest songs without bringing up Bad Habit, Song of the Summer, biggest song of the year. Personally, my most streamed song of the year. I absolutely love that song, and I'm so happy that it blew up and got even more people exposed to Steve. But that's not to discount the other songs in this album. So many just amazing tracks. Static, Give You the World, Helmet, Buttons, Sunshine. You can't go wrong with this album. All of the songs are super catchy. We also had a really great release from Amaro Apollo this year in the form of Ivory. I hate to admit it, but I haven't really listened to a lot of Amaro Apollo before this year, and I definitely need to because Ivory was great. some of like the catchiest pop music that I've heard all year for sure, and such a great range from Amar on this album too. Go Away, Amar unleashes his inner Weeknd, and then you have something like In El Olvido, which is completely in Spanish. Super good range of tracks on this album, but all of them are consistently fantastic. Another must listen from this year. And to end kind of this section talking about pop music, I want to take a minute to talk about Pink Panthers. You've probably heard her on TikTok at some point in 2021. Songs like Pain and Just For Me absolutely blew up. And she still went strong this year. My favorites from her this year were Boy's a Liar and Where You Are featuring Willow. Super, super catchy songs. Total earworms. When these songs came out, I could not stop listening to them on repeat, and you definitely need to hear them if you haven't. Pink Panthers is definitely someone to keep your eye on. Very late into the year, Toronto R&B artist River Tiber dropped, I think I mispronounced that, but who cares? River dropped a project called The Dreaming Eye, one of the most out of left field drops for this entire year for me. I didn't listen to him really at all before this year, and I kind of just listened to this project on a whim, and it is fantastic. Such a dreamy, experimental R&B project with some really just fantastic songs. You can't really hear anything else quite like this anywhere else except from River. My two favorite tracks are both wildly different from each other. Set From Above has River kind of doing this godlike chorus, which is just absolutely beautiful. And then Sunset is just an instrumental track, which absolutely blew me away the first time I listened to it at like 1 in the morning. I can't praise this album enough. It's super good, which is what I've been saying for basically everything in this video, but you get the point. It's all good music. And to end, I have to talk about one of my all-time favorite musicians. Blood Orange, Dev Hynes, dropped his 4 songs EP this year, which, as the title would suggest, is only 4 songs and about 16 minutes long. But this project is absolutely fantastic. Start to finish, it will draw you in with some of Dev's just best work, in my opinion. He hasn't dropped since 2019, and this is absolutely a worthy comeback, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Hopefully something in terms of a longer album. But regardless, this is perfect for now. It's 4 songs long. I'm just gonna recommend every single one of them. They should all be listened to. They're all fantastic. You will not be disappointed with this project. Thanks for joining us in 2023. I'll see you next time in our next episode.